연변!
언니도 사랑해.
주신 것 같아.
제가 지금 뒤를 돌아보면 그게 신의 계시야. 실시.
야! 이게 무슨 일이야? 나 진짜 깜짝 놀랐네.
On a dark and windy night, a woman walking home alone becomes easy prey for criminals. This gang specifically targets young and beautiful women, planning to abduct and inject them with a mysterious substance. Their ultimate goal is to create a fake identity for the girl as a college student. Once the identity is fabricated, the girl is handed over to a doctor for use in demonstrations.
대략 한 8천만 원 정도 예상하시면 될 겁니다.
Welcome to Korea's most profitable infertility clinic. Under the guise of donations, they help desperate women achieve their dreams of having children. The masterminds behind the trafficking ring reap enormous profits by exploiting these young girls. The corrupt doctors at the clinic use an $800,000 extraction tube to harvest eggs worth 10 times that amount, which they then sell. By chance, two police academy students uncovered this heinous operation. Ki-jun and Hee-yeol are students at Korea's police academy. After 2 years of rigorous training, they have just 1 year left before securing a stable job as police officers. But being a cop means fighting criminals, so they must learn basic self-defense skills. While their instructor praises these techniques, Ki-jun and Hee-yeol find them impractical and even a bit ridiculous.
자, 그다음 손으로 코를 공격하는 거야. 하야! 자, 이래도 범인이 제압이 안 됐다. 그럼 마지막 히든 손목을 범인의 목에 꽂는 거야. 하야!
박수.
However, what really frustrates them is that their classmates have girlfriends while they remain pitifully single despite being top students. Determined to find out how their peers are meeting girls, Ki-jun uses his skills to get the information.
무슨 클럽?
Armed with the knowledge of where to meet people, they eagerly take leave and head to the popular hangout spot. But the dazzling beauties and celebrities at the nightclub leave them completely overwhelmed. Soon, they face an unprecedented blow, especially when a beautiful woman whispers something in Ki-jun's ear that leaves him stunned and questioning his life choices.
돈도 못 버는 거 왜 해요?
This existential crisis renders Ki-jun speechless and leaves him deeply confused, especially when comparing his dull life to the lively existence of his peers. Both start doubting their career choice. However, after some reflection, they decide to live life to the fullest. Just as they step outside, they spot a confident and attractive woman, leaving them slack-jawed. They decide to muster the courage to ask for her contact information, but when it comes time to make a move, the two chicken out and play rock paper scissors to decide who will approach her, failing to notice a mysterious car trailing the girl. By the time they realize what's happening, the girl is already being kidnapped. As future crime fighters, they immediately give chase. Their overexertion ends with them throwing up their dinner. Fortunately, Hee-yeol memorizes the car's license plate, and they rush to the nearest police station to report the kidnapping. However, the local police are fully occupied with the disappearance of a wealthy heir and can't prioritize an ordinary kidnapping. Frustrated but determined, they know that the chances of a kidnapped woman surviving beyond 7 hours are slim. So, they decide to find the missing girl themselves. Returning to the scene, they find the girl's abandoned belongings. It was a bag of stir-fried rice cakes that made them search every stir-fried rice cake stand within a kilometer. Eventually, they find the right vendor and trace the girl's workplace. What they discover there, however, is beyond their wildest imaginations. Hee-yeol, who lost the game of rock paper scissors, ventured in alone. Although Hee-yeol stated he was looking for someone, the staff misunderstood his intentions. Eventually, at Hee-yeol's request, a tall and beautiful woman entered the room. The moment she instructed Hee-yeol to lie down, he momentarily forgot his purpose for being there. Meanwhile, Ki-jun, keeping watch at the door while eating to regain his strength, noticed a patrol car approaching for a routine check. Seeing the officers about to enter the establishment, he quickly shouted something clever to divert their attention.
잡세요!
네.
잡세요! 좀 다시.
This provocation triggered the officer's instinct to chase after him, a tactic he used to avoid being caught and expelled for misconduct. On the other side, Hee-yeol finally remembered his true purpose.
그럼 여기 왜 왔는데? 내가 알려줄까?
엄마 아프지 마.
After a moment of self-reflection, he managed to ask for the kidnapped girl's location. Following the address provided, they arrived to find a man who appeared extremely nervous at their presence. When the man tried to flee, they immediately split up to chase the suspicious individual.
오씨. 오씨. 야, 네가 있어?
To their surprise, the self-defense techniques they had once mocked turned out to be highly effective. They captured the criminal and found information on him about the sale of girls to traffickers. Tying him up, they rushed back to the previous address, where they found several runaway children. It turned out this place was a refuge for homeless children, and the kidnapped girl, Yuna, was their older sister responsible for taking care of them. They had mistakenly trusted the criminal. Moved by the girl's tearful pleas, Ki-jun and Hee-yeol vowed to rescue her. Based on the clues they found on the criminal, Ki-jun and Hee-yeol headed to a restaurant in the immigrant district to track down the infamous trafficker. Using the phone they took from the previous criminal, they quickly pinpointed the trafficker's location. However, they overlooked one crucial detail: the trafficker might call back, which led to their exposure.
너네는 어디 있니? 어? 너네 전화기 어찌 니인데 있니? 어? 어.
우리야.
이 새끼들이
누구야?
개대 같은 아새끼들
Despite their lack of real-world experience, they were formidable. Being young and vigorous future police officers, they utilized the combat skills honed during their intense school training to successfully take down their enemies. Traffickers are known for their silence, but Ki-jun picked up a nearby skewer and used his own method of intense interrogation. This excruciating pain was unbearable for anyone, and the trafficker eventually revealed the location where the girls were held. The two were led to a place where a large number of girls were imprisoned. Realizing the gravity of the situation, they decided to rescue one of the severely injured victims first. However, they were soon surrounded by the trafficker's accomplices. Hee-yeol urged Ki-jun to take the girl and escape while he stayed behind to hold off the pursuers. Unfortunately, Ki-jun soon discovered there was no way out ahead. Meanwhile, Hee-yeol was completely overpowered by the trafficker's leader. Hearing the commotion, Ki-jun rushed back but was also quickly subdued. Both were captured and hung up. Unable to move, Hee-yeol was the first to regain consciousness. He noticed the room was covered in plastic sheets, and his body had already been marked with cutting lines. Hee-yeol wants to wake Ki-jun and escape, but he's afraid to call out loudly and alert the kidnappers. He quickly devised a plan.
기준아 일어나 기준아 그래서 뭐가 흘러 피야 너 머리에서 피 졸라 많이 나 지금 어쩐지.
When Ki-jun heard Hee-yeol say that this was an organ trafficking site, he immediately began thinking of ways to escape. He certainly didn't want to lose a kidney at such a young age. Mustering all his strength, he managed to move the rope off the hook. This high-difficulty maneuver was something only Ki-jun could pull off. The two tried to sneak out quietly but ended up waking the traffickers. Driven by a fierce survival instinct, they ran like they were fueled by adrenaline, ultimately reaching the nearest police station and evading capture. At the station, they realized the traffickers would quickly relocate, so they urgently reported the situation. However, without identification, the officers dismissed their claims, thinking they were making up stories. An enraged Ki-jun lashed out at them, hurling insults, but forgot the saying that loose lips bring trouble. The next morning, Professor Yang arrived at the police station, confirming their student status, but by the time they went to check the traffickers' hideout, it was empty. Even the license plate number they provided turned out to be fake, making the investigation even more complex. Professor Yang advised them to leave the matter to the police, but when they learned that the case would be scheduled at least a month later, they were incredulous. Despite Professor Yang's warning that meddling further could get them expelled, the two couldn't stand by. Their primary goal in studying at the police academy was to uphold justice. To them, failing to act was akin to abetting the crime. They understood that the only reason evil prevails is when good people do nothing. Determined not to be those people, they sought help from their former instructor to trace the fake license plate car's information. Surprisingly, their instructor agreed without hesitation. While waiting for the investigation results, they intensified their training.
96, 97, 98, 99. 한 번 더. 99. 한 번 더. 한 번 더.
99, 6, 97.
After completing a series of rigorous training sessions, they received information from their instructor. They discovered the location of the car with the fake license plate and identified a hospital frequently visited by the traffickers, unveiling the mysteries of the gray market chain. Knowing they were up against a tough and ruthless gang, they borrowed 2 batons, 2 pairs of handcuffs, 2 stun guns, and protective gear from the equipment room, under the pretense of needing them for a class demonstration. Once they confirmed the traffickers' activities, they geared up for action. With their continuous training in full combat gear, they faced the criminals head-on and defeated them, despite sustaining numerous injuries.
뭔 소리니?
가자.
Their resolve, fueled by the desire to save innocent lives, was stronger than their physical pain. The sudden attack by the gang leader, Sang-pyo, caught them off guard, underestimating Ki-jun and Hee-yeol. Sang-pyo thought he could handle them alone, not realizing their protective gear and batons gave them a significant advantage.